Very well. My punchline tonight is inspired by my colleague Victoria Rubadiri's Sunday series, The National Reminder. Only that mine is a specific reminder to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Lately, doctors and other medical workers have been complaining of insufficient personal protective kits, PPEs. The irony, however, is that thousands of PPE kits are lying unutilized at the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency's warehouses. Claims of corruption and blatant violation of procurement regulations in the procurement of PPE kits at KEMSA remain unresolved. Kenyans have been treated to dramatic back and forth between KEMSA management and the Ministry of Health top brass before parliamentary health committees. And that is why I went back to President Kenyatta's 11th address on the COVID-19 pandemic, made on the 26th of August 2020. For good record, let me quote it verbatim. Following the allegations of impropriety at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, the relevant investigative agencies are fully seized with the matter. Given the compelling public interest on the matter, the relevant agencies should expedite the ongoing investigations and conclude the same within 21 days from the date thereof. Fellow Kenyans, in line with our stated public policy on zero tolerance to corruption, all persons found to be prima facie culpable as a result of those investigations should be brought to book, notwithstanding the public office they hold or their political or social status. End of quote. Unless the president meant 21 days in Pluto, because here on earth, it has been 106 days and no one has been brought to book, save for the suspension of KEMSA CEO Dr. Jonah Manjari and a few directors. It is business as usual with the controversially and exorbitantly procured PPE kits in their thousands lying unutilized at KEMSA stores. I came across some wise words from Israel Mo Ivor, and he says, "Words do less than 10 things, but actions do more than 10,000 things. Leaders don't talk in vain, they follow with actions." End of quote. I have no investigative credentials, but on the face of it, one can easily see clear cases of conflict of interest, violation of procurement regulations, undue pressure on KEMSA management from Afya House and political interference in the purchase of COVID-19 supplies at obviously high prices and at taxpayers' cost. Prudent management of public resources is a key principle in the Constitution, and holders of state offices have no option but to ensure every shilling entrusted to them is spent transparently and is value for money. Tonight, I would want to focus on the Auditor General's special audit report on the KEMSA supplies. A letter dated 1st October 2020 addressed to Michael Sialai, the National Assembly clerk, penned by Frederick Odhiambo, the Deputy Auditor General in charge of specialized audits, introduces an audit report with clear red flags indicating potential procurement fraud. This includes circumstances where companies that had been in existence for less than 1 year were awarded multi-million shilling contracts to supply COVID-19 related items. The report lists Shop and Buy Limited, registered on 14th of February 2020, that was awarded a 970 million shillings contract to supply masks and PPEs. Killig Limited, registered on January 22nd, 2020, that was awarded a 9 million shillings PPE contract. And Nanopay Limited, registered on August 22nd, 2019, that was awarded a 34.7 million shillings contract to supply KN masks. The Auditor General's report goes on to state, and I quote, "There was no evidence that the initiation of the procurement process for COVID-19 related items under COVID-19's by KEMSA capital budget was triggered by a need assessment to establish the demand for these products. This is evidenced by initiation of procurement processes without planning and budgeting, use of direct procurement in disguise of urgency, when indeed the products are still lying at KEMSA warehouses as long as 6 months." End of quote. The Auditor General sums up the report by stating that The procurements were therefore not conducted in the best interest of KEMSA, and the public could have been influenced by suppliers and management of KEMSA. The COVID-19 items worth over 6.2 billion shillings were procured without an objective assessment and forecasting of the existing demand for the products as detected by the Auditor General, and that KEMSA was staring at a 2.3 billion shillings loss if the kits at the warehouses were to be sold at current market prices is sufficient reason for some heads to roll. Let me sum up this with a clever quote by Murad Shah. He says, "If you cannot prove it by your actions, you do not mean it." Back to you, Mr. President. That's my punchline.